Hello everyone and welcome back. In the previous video, we set up our professional coding environment with VS Code and GitHub. Today, we start our Python journey from scratch. But before we write any code, let's understand why to learn Python. It's the leading language for data science and analysis, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and along with the above two, it also assists the cyber defenders in automation and scripting. Python is a superpower, and let's get this started. We will start with variables. Think of variable as a storage box. This is a storage box in your computer's memory. You write a name on the outside of the box. For example, in this case, failed logins. And then you put a piece of value inside it. Let's say 5. Now, whenever you need that data later in your code, you just call the name of the box, which is failed logins. Let's jump into VS Code and assign our first value. Now, before we do that, let's quickly jump to a different branch. As you can see, we are currently in the main branch. Okay. Now we can see we are in the variables branch and we have not done any changes as of now. So we'll create a folder here. We'll name it variables and data types. That should do. And let's create a file which is tutorial.py. And here we are. Okay. Now to assign a value, we simply type a name. For example, failed login and equal to sign and then the value, which in this case is 5. Now, if you want to use this value later in the code, or even if you want to just print it, you can just type print and name the variable. Yep. So as you can see, we have 5 as the output. Now the question is, can you name this variable anything, or is there any standard? The answer is yes. There are certain rules that needs to be followed. Names cannot start with a number. You cannot use spaces. And the best practice is snake case, which is lowercase words separated by an underscore. Also avoid using special symbols and don't use reserved Python words like list or str. Now we can move ahead with the basic data types in Python. In Python, there are 4 basic data types. The first is integers. Then we have floating point. We also have Boolean. And at the end, we have strings. Let's start a discussion with the integers. Integers are the whole numbers. They could be anything like 22 or simply 89. They are simply any mathematical whole number. The floating ones are also numbers, but they are with a decimal. For example, the value of pi, 3.14, it can be categorized as a floating point number. Now you can do all standard math operations with these numbers. For example, if we have a equal to 5 and b equal to 4, you can do addition. We have 9. You can do subtraction. We have 1. You can do multiplication. We have 20. You can do division, which is 1.25. Also, you can do mod. For those who don't know, it gives the remainder. So if you divide 5 by 4, the remainder should be 1. In this case, which is 1. And you can also do the exponential operations by adding 2 sign of asterisk, which in this case is 5 raised to the power 4, which is 625. So any mathematical operations can be performed on both integers as well as the floating point numbers. Let's go back to the board. Then we have the Booleans. The Booleans are used to convey true or false values. Let's go back. You can have something like is admin equal to true. Now, it can be a Boolean variable where the values are either true or false, whether this person is an admin or he is not. To understand it better, let's take a variable a and put it 4 is greater than 5. Now, if you think about this operation, this is a false operation. 4 is not greater than 5, which means that if we check what is the value stored inside a, it will be a false value. If you reverse the sign, you will get true. So the Booleans are used to store two values, either true or false. Finally, we have the giant of this category, the string. Strings handle textual data. They store a sequence of characters, and you can assign them using single or double quotes. What we mean by that is you can have either this or you can also write like this. Both are valid and both are functional. Now here comes the interesting scenario. First of all, let's print it. As you can see, we have hello world 2. What if you have a string that reads like I don't do that, which means you already have a quote inside your string. In that case, as you might expect, we will have an error. So how to resolve this? The most easy way is to simply change the outer quotations so that it does not match the inner quotes. If there is a double quote inside, you can have the single quotes on the boundary. As you can see, the error is fixed. Now to easily check how many characters you have in your string, you can use length. Either you can store the length in a variable x and then you can print x, which in this case is 15. Or to even make this pretty simple, you can have the entire this function inside a print statement. Now let's talk about strings further. The strings have two massive properties. First is that string is an ordered sequence. Every character has a specific index number starting at 0. Let's understand what that means. For example, you have a string and hello is stored inside it. Now every character in that string can be represented by an index starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we mean is if you want the second character, you can reference it using the first index value, or if you want to reference the last character, you can reference it using the fourth index value. Another way of doing it is also the reverse indexing. Again, 0 is the first, but in this case, the order reverses. So to reference O in hello, you can either use the fourth index value, or you can use the -1. Now let's see an example how that works. In this case, the string is hello world. Let's say we only want to reference or index this character E. What we can do is we can call the variable and we can use the square brackets to reference the exact value. In this case, it should start with 0, 1. So if you use this syntax, you can get the character E. If you use -1, as we discussed, you will get the character D. Now it's not limited to that. You can even slice out sections using the syntax start, stop, step. What it means is that you have to define a starting index. For example, in this case, let's say we want ELLO to be sliced out. As we can see, it starts at 0, 1. Since it starts at 1, we define the starting index as 1. We use the colons. We need it to stop at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, and we print it out. As you can see, we got the LO. Now you might be wondering, the fifth index was actually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which was the space. But the last is not inclusive. That is why to include O, we have to put the index which is next to it, fifth. So it covers index 1, 2, 3, 4, which is ELLO. And that's how you do it. What if you put a step of 2 and let's increase it to, and let's increase it to 7. Now let's try to understand before running it to print. The first is E. First is 0th, then the first is E. Then we need to go till 7th. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is until the W. And the stepping is 2, which means we go with, from here to it, which means we go with E, then we jump one character, we go to L, then we jump, we go to space. Here we have E, L, and space. What it means that instead of having a step of 1, we took 2 steps at a time. And that is how you can manipulate the string to slice it out any section you want from a parent string. The second property that we have is of immutability, which means the string cannot change. For example, if I have my string equal to, let's say, Sam, or let's use name equal to Sam. Now if I have a task to convert this name from Sam to, let's say, Pam, a very intuitive thought would be to use name of 0th equal to P. Now if I run it, you can see that it's not allowed. It does not support item assignment, which explain the property of immutability. Once the string is defined, you can't modify it. So how could we achieve our initial objective, that is to modify it from Sam to Pam? One way of doing it is to have last characters equal to, and we could do some slicing here. We start from first index till the very end, which is 0, 1. That is, we are starting from A and we are going till the very end. So we have AM stored in this last characters. And then the new name could be the character P plus last characters. And eventually we'll print it. So here you can see the expected output is there. Now similar to this, we can also do string concatenation for 2 different strings. For example, name is Sam and surname is Johnson. You can say new name equal to name plus surname. And we have Sam Johnson. Let's put a space here. You can either put a space like this, or you can also do this. We have the name. Now let's imagine you have A equal to 5, B equal to 6, and C equal to A plus B. And you print C. Now the outcome is very much expected, which is 5 plus 6, 11. But what if there are quotes surrounded by this? Now if you add this, the answer becomes 56 because these are treated as strings. So when you add a string of 5 with string of 6, they are concatenated and it becomes 56. Now let's cover some important methods we have for strings. As I mentioned previously, don't worry about what methods are as of now. We will cover them later. The only thing we need to know is that they will allow us to do certain manipulations on our string. Let's go one by one. First we have is capitalize. Now, as the name suggests, what capitalize does is it allows the first character in title case and returns a new string. So in this case, we are getting this, I am a hacker. But we can do is so now you can see the I is capitalized. The second we have is ends with, and after that starts with. As the name suggests, you can use these to check whether your string is starting or ending with a certain character or a phrase. For example, in this case, we can use ends with, and we can check whether it is ending with, let's say, KER. And then we print, we get it true. Because it's a Boolean expression, we are checking whether it is ending with a certain parameter or with a certain character or a phrase or not. Similarly, you can use starts with. Since it's not starting with KER, you will get a false. But if you use here a simple I, you can get a true. Next on our list is lower, is upper. As the name suggests, they are used to check whether the string is in uppercase or is in lowercase. In this case, it's all in lowercase. So if you use is lower and print it out, it will say true. And if you use is upper, it will say false. And it checks all the characters. What I mean is that even if one character is in uppercase and the rest are in lowercase, it will still return false unless all the characters are in lowercase. Next we have, similar to this, is lower and upper. And as the name suggests, they are used to convert the string into uppercase or lowercase. So if we use lower, everything is in lowercase, even if the I is capitalized. And if we use upper, everything is in uppercase. Next in our list is replace method. The syntax is replace old, new, and count. Let's understand it better with an example. Let's say the string is spam, spam, and more spam. And what we want to do is we want to replace the old word, which is spam, with a new word, which is, let's say, fraud. And we only want to do for one occurrences. Now, if you print this, it becomes fraud, spam, and more spam. But if you select the value from 1 to 2, it replaces two words. And if you don't provide it at all, it replaces all the occurrences. So that's the replace function for you. Then we have the split method. The split method uses an argument on the basis of which we want to do a splitting. For example, in this case, if we put split, and then we have to provide on what parameter. Let's say we want to do it on the basis of a space. So here you can see the output it gives is a list. Now we have not covered them as of now, but you can just imagine them as a collection of different objects. In this case, it is spam, spam, and more spam. But what if instead of space, we use this comma? So you provide a separator and the string is splitted using that. The last we have is strip. Let's say your string had some spaces in the beginning or in the trailing. Now if you do print the length of the string, you can see the length is 34. And the string has some spaces in front and in the back. So what we can do is we can use new string equal to my string dot split, and then check the length of new string and also print it. Oh, sorry, we used the split. We are using the strip. Okay, so now you can see this, the length is 25, which was previously 34. And we have all the spaces from the beginning and from the ending removed. So that's strip function for you. Now let's take a look at a problem statement. As of now, we are printing things simply using print new string. But what if we had something like an IP equal to some IP, some name, some port, and the output we want to see is the hacker logged in from 10.2.3.4 using port 22. That's what we want to see as an output. Now, first instruction would be that we could use something like print the, and then name, and then logged in, and so on, so on, so on. But the problem with this approach is that there are two issues. First, it does not work with numbers. So when you put port variable, it will throw an error. And the second, it does not produce clean, efficient, and readable code. And to fix it, we use F strings. You just put an F before the quotation mark, and you can inject variables directly inside curly braces. So what we mean is that just put an F here, and logged in from this IP using port, this port, and that's it. So when you run it, you can see the hacker logged in from this IP from port 22. It is cleaner, faster, and much more readable. Now let's put this all together with a real world exercise. Imagine you extracted a messy server logs and it looks like this. Your goal is to strip away the blank spaces, convert it all to lowercase, replace the underscores with spaces, and then print it out. Now you can try this problem on your own. If you don't have Python installed or other text editors handy, you can simply use any online Python compiler like onlinegdb.com to write the code. But it is preferred and recommended to get the VS Code setup, which was explained in the last video, so we can track our progress and learning on GitHub. Now you can pause the video, try it on your own, and come back for the solution. Okay, so let's try it. So the first thing we wanted to do was strip away the blank spaces. So we saw that what we could do is we could do raw log dot strip, and then we print new string. Now you can see that the spaces at the front and at the back, they are all gone. The second step was to convert it all to lowercase. So So we take the new string and we convert it to lower. And then we print the lower string, which, as we expected, it's done. And the third was to replace the underscores with spaces. So we name new string 2 equal to lower string dot replace. What we wanted to replace is replace the underscores with spaces. And then we print new string 2. So this is the clean output. Warning, target system compromised. But is this a clean code? Of course, it can be made much more better. So what we can do is, as we can see, the raw log is stored inside this, and then we strip the spaces and store it inside a new string. Then eventually what we did was we take that new string and convert it to lowercase. But instead of this line, what we can do is we can directly convert this to lowercase here. So this section, this is skipped. Now after that, we also did a replace function on our lower string. So can we just do the same thing to the original one? And we skip this step also. And the third part, if we don't need to store it somewhere, we can also skip creating this variable and we can directly just print this out. And now we can see the target is achieved. So depending on what your use case is, this code could have been achieved in 2 lines and we have the desired output. To wrap up, let's commit and push our changes to the repository. So we check we are in the variables branch. Let's also save this file first. Okay, better. Now let's just add this. Now if you check the status, it's green. We can go ahead with committing. So we have a pull request which is created. Now you can also do it in the browser by opening this link there, but you can install an extension and do it directly here. As you can see, it is already merged and we can delete this branch. Now you can see the code is gone because we don't have a fresh copy. But if you do a git pull, we have that back. We check the branch we are in the main branch. We check the status and it's clean. I'll link my repository in the description below. In the next video, we will tackle Python data structures like list and dictionary. Like, share and subscribe to secure your feed, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep defending.